What is up, everybody? We've got another edition of Sports Magazine Moguls. We are counting down the 10 highest sports magazine sales from September 2023. And let's just be blunt, my friends. This was a major down month for magazine sales, which is kind of funny because the month before in August 2023 was easily the biggest month ever. So, just kind of the ebbs and flows. Some months you got some big sales, some months you don't, but still plenty of cool stuff to take a look at this month. So let's start with the honorable mentions from last month, and we are going to begin with this John Elway 1998 Sports Illustrated Sweet Redemption. This was after John Elway led the Broncos to a Super Bowl championship, and it's a CGC 9.8, sold for $400 on eBay. Next up, 2002 Sports Illustrated presents Tom Brady. This is not a weekly cover. This is a commemorative issue. This was after Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, and this is technically his first appearance on a Sports Illustrated publication. Now, we don't consider it a first cover per se because it wasn't on the weekly edition of the normal Sports Illustrated. But what I like to say is first appearance. To me, there's a little bit of a differentiation, but that's not fully established within the hobby, and that's definitely up for debate. There's no doubt that this is the first time Tom Brady appeared on the cover of any type of Sports Illustrated publication. It's a CGC 9.6 copy, and it sold for $450 on eBay. Next up, we're going way back to 1957, Sports Illustrated, and we have NHL legend Gordie Howe. This is his first cover. It's a CGC 5.0 copy, and it sold for $485 on eBay. Next up, Usain Bolt, one of the greatest Olympians of all time. This is from 2009. This is his first Sports Illustrated cover. It's a CGC 9.6, sold for $500 on eBay. Here we've got the dummy issues, number 1 and number 2. So these were the two issues that Sports Illustrated put out before the release of their premiere issue. They were basically trying to get a feel for what their magazine was going to look like, getting a couple practice runs, but also kind of showcasing to advertisers and giving potential readers a little taste of what the magazine would be like and gathering feedback and all that type of stuff. So dummy issue number 1 was from 1953. Dummy issue number 2 was from 1954. Of course, it was later in 1954 that the actual first issue with Eddie Matthews on the cover was released. Both of these copies here are raw, sold together for $599 on eBay. Next up, a very difficult and underrated cover. This is Vince Carter's very first Sports Illustrated cover. It's from 1998. This is a CGC 9.4 copy. So you can see Vince Carter, who, became one of the greatest dunkers of all time, actually went on to play, I believe, the longest NBA career of anyone in the history, most seasons. I think he played 22 seasons. That's off the top of my head without researching. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. And he's still in college there with North Carolina. And this was a variant. I believe there were 7 different covers released this week. So that just adds a lot of rarity to this because there were most likely only 1/7 the amount of this cover printed in newsstand as opposed to a traditional Sports Illustrated cover from that week that didn't have any other variants. So once again, very tough to find, very underrated, and you got a great grade here with a 9.4, sold for $635 on eBay. Really throwing it back here, going to 1919. This is Baseball Magazine, and we have legend Ty Cobb. It says Ty Cobb, champion batter of 1918, in his uniform as captain in the U.S. Army from January of 1919. Very cool, and it's raw, ungraded. Actually doesn't look to be in horrible condition for the year. This publication's over 100 years old, sold for $635 on eBay. Next up, very familiar cover. You've got Michael Jordan from 1984, A Star is Born. This is his first pro cover in his Chicago Bulls jersey there as a rookie. And this is a subscription copy. You can see the label still clearly affixed. and it graded at an 8.0 with CGC, sold for $649. Of course, as we know, a newsstand copy of this issue graded at 9.8 sold the previous month for $126,000. Next up, we've got the very first issue of Sports Illustrated that I referenced earlier. It's from 1984. It's got Hall of Famer Eddie Matthews on the cover, and this is a CGC 9.4 copy, sold for $699 on eBay. 1970 Sports Illustrated. We've got Steve Prefontaine, his first cover, I believe his only cover, America's Distance Prodigy. He was a freshman at Oregon, just an absolutely legendary runner. And this is a CGC 6.0 that sold for $699 on eBay. Back to the first issue. Last one was a 9.4. This one is a 9.6. And this one sold for $718 on eBay. Here we've got Kobe Bryant, legendary basketball player. This is his first cover from 1998. Also got another legend, Magic Johnson, on the cover, and it's a CGC 9.6, sold for $750 on eBay. Next up, 1995, Michael Jordan, I'm Back, CGC 9.8. You've also got Reggie Miller in the background there. This could potentially be considered Reggie Miller's first Sports Illustrated cover, but of course it's an MJ cover. He's wearing his number 45 jersey there, and this one sold for $800 on eBay. We got another 9.8 of Michael Jordan. This was the 1991 Sportsman of the Year issue. A very popular issue, one of the most frequently graded issues out there, because this hologram of Michael on the cover was a pretty cool thing whenever it was released, and this 9.8 copy sold for $800 on eBay. Next up, 1956 Sports Illustrated, Jean Beliveau. This is a CGC 9.0, so he's a Hall of Fame hockey player, and this was also the very first hockey player to be featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and this copy sold for $800 on eBay. Here we've got the great Mickey Mantle. This is from 1951, which was his rookie year with the Yankees, and this is Baseball Magazine. It's a CGC 4.5. This was the one year that he played together with Joe DiMaggio. It was Joltin' Joe's final season. It was Mickey Mantle's first season, but it is well documented that they didn't really have much of a relationship. And this CGC 4.5 copy, which, by the way, this cover precedes his first Sports Illustrated cover by 5 years, but this 4.5 copy sold for $825 on eBay. Next up, Slam from 2022, Victor Wembanyama, and this is a gold edition, which was serialed at a 94. So you may be very familiar with this in the sports card world, but this is also something that Slam Magazine has been doing in the magazine world, and that is limiting or making some special editions and limiting the number that are created to kind of generate some rarity there. So only 94 actual copies of this gold edition were printed. This one's serial number 53, and it sold for $837 on eBay. Here we got Life magazine. This is from 1964. It is a subscription edition, but you've got Muhammad Ali, still known as Cassius Clay, and you got a nice autograph there that has been authenticated by JSA, and this one sold for $850 on eBay. Next up, 1973 Secretariat. This one's a little unusual. This is a very, very collectible issue with this Time magazine cover of Secretariat. Secretariat was on the cover of Time, Sports Illustrated, and Newsweek, all during the same week back here in this 1973 era, whenever he won the Triple Crown, and not just won, dominated the Triple Crown. But this being a subscription issue, this one's a little unusual. Kind of seems to me to be a fluke sale, but I went ahead and threw it on here anyway because it did appear that the sale happened. Went for $899 on eBay. All right, let's jump into the top 10, and we're going to begin with number 10, and this is a World Series program from 1998. That was the Yankees versus the San Diego Padres. The Yankees won that series, and you've got 26 autographs of New York Yankees on the cover. All have been authenticated by Beckett, and some of the more significant autographs include Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Joe Torre, David Cone, Jorge Posada, and of course, many more. This sold for $950 on eBay. Number 9, this is an interesting and unusual one. So this is it's two promo catalogs from Nike Air, 1987 and 1989. These catalogs were promoting the Air Jordan 3 and the Air Jordan 4. They are both raw, and together they sold for $999 on eBay. Number 7, this is an example which I've talked about on my channel before, where sometimes a magazine can hold significant value not because of the cover, but because of what is inside that magazine. And that's what's happening here. This is Swedish Record Magazine from 1958, and I'm not even sure who that is on the cover, but on the inside, you have a rookie card for Pele. And that is why this one has some value, and that's why it sold raw for $1,000 on eBay. Also at number 7, in a two-way tie, we have a Beckett basketball magazine from 2002. We've got the Black Mamba Kobe Bryant going up for a nice slam there, and it has been autographed by Kobe and authenticated by JSA, sold for $1,000 on eBay. Number 6, this is Thrasher Magazine. It's a skateboard magazine, by far the most popular, most well-known, most reputable magazine publication within the skateboarding world. And this was issue number 1. You don't even really have a specific skateboarder there on the cover, but because it's the very first issue of a popular publication within the skateboarding world, it's definitely got some collectability. And you can see that this raw copy that also looks fairly beat up went in auction on eBay for $1,275. Number 5, we've got another Beckett basketball magazine with Kobe Bryant. This one's from 1999 and also has been autographed by Kobe. This one authenticated by PSA, sold for $1,350 on eBay. Number 4, 2018 Sports Illustrated. You've got Mike Trout on the left. You've got Shohei Ohtani on the right. This cover is significant because it is Shohei Ohtani's first cover, and this one has been autographed by both. It's a dual auto, authenticated by JSA, and of course ungraded, but it sold for $1,400 on eBay. Number 2, Michael Jordan, 1989 Sports Illustrated. It is a subscription issue. You can see where the label has been removed on the bottom, but it's been autographed by MJ, and MJ autographs, especially on Sports Illustrated, can be tough to come by. This is one of the more unique MJ covers with him golfing, and the autograph has been authenticated by Beckett. This one sold for $1,900 on eBay. Also at a tie for number 2, we just saw this magazine earlier. And once again, this one's been autographed by both. Now, the previous one, the autograph looked to be like in a pin, was not nearly as nice as this. Look at this beautiful silver Sharpie on both. And this one's also been slabbed by Beckett. So Beckett does not grade magazines, but if it's been autographed, they will authenticate and they will encapsulate. And that is what has happened here. And this copy sold for $1,900. And now for the number 1 highest selling sports magazine from the month of September 2023 for 2 months in a row. It is the Michael Jordan A Star Is Born cover. Now, as I said earlier, last month it was a 9.8 that sold for a record $126,000. This month we've got a subscription copy with the label still affixed, and it's a 9.2, and it sold for $2,500 on eBay. So once again, a little bit of a down month for the magazines. We only actually had one CGC graded Sports Illustrated make the top 10, which is highly unusual. But I'm chalking that one up to the ebbs and flows because, like I said, the month before was the highest ever. So you see the same thing on Heritage and some of these other big auction sites. Some months you've got just a bunch of monster sales, and other months are just a little bit quieter. So we'll see what October has in store for us. But for now, appreciate you watching. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. And until the next video, we'll see you next time.